Welcome to Ghost Story Media. In today's story, you will discover what happened to a man who walked into the Kentucky woods alone and came back 3 days later wearing his own face like something borrowed. He came back. That's the part everyone keeps saying, as if it's supposed to be a relief. He came back. But the people who were there, the ones who watched him walk through that door, will tell you quietly, when no one else is listening, that what came back was not entirely Cody. Cody's full last name has been withheld at his family's request. What we know is this: he was 34 years old, born and raised in Perry County, Kentucky, in a small town called Hazard, a name that sits in the eastern Appalachians like a warning no one ever took seriously. He worked maintenance at a regional school district. He hunted every season. He knew those woods the way most people know their own kitchen. He had no history of mental illness, no record of substance use, no reason, not a single one, to disappear. He went in on a Tuesday morning in late October. He told his wife, Dana, that he was going to check a deer stand about 2 miles back from the property line. He had his pack, he had his rifle, he had his phone, which showed full signal until approximately 11:14 that morning, and then nothing. No call, no text, no location ping, just silence. By Wednesday evening, his family called the Perry County Sheriff's Department. By Thursday morning, there were search teams moving through that tree line. And on Thursday afternoon, just before 4 o'clock, Cody walked out of the woods on his own. He was standing at the edge of a logging road about 1.5 miles from where he'd entered. His clothes were intact. He wasn't injured. He had his pack. He still had his rifle. He looked, by all physical accounts, completely fine. But he didn't speak for the first 40 minutes, not one word. He sat in the back of a deputy's vehicle, stared straight ahead, and did not respond to his own name. The doctors at the regional medical center found nothing wrong with him. Blood work came back clean, no dehydration, no hypothermia, no signs of trauma. His vitals were, by every clinical measure, normal. The ER physician on duty noted only one thing in the record that gave her pause, something she later described to a colleague as a quality of stillness that didn't feel like calm. She couldn't explain it further than that. She checked every box on the assessment, cleared him for discharge, and that was the end of the official record. But it was not the end of what Dana saw. She told us he came home and stood in the living room for a long time, just looking at the furniture, not examining it, not confused by it, just looking at it the way you might look at a photograph of a place you visited once a long time ago. She asked him if he was hungry. He said yes. She made him a plate. He ate everything on it. He said thank you. He went to bed, and Dana sat in the kitchen for 3 hours because she didn't know how to explain, even to herself, why she was afraid to follow him. She said it was his voice, it was his face, it was every single thing about him, and I still couldn't shake the feeling that I was alone in that house. In the days that followed, the changes were so small that they were almost invisible. Almost. Cody stopped drinking coffee, which he had done every morning for 15 years without exception. He stopped watching the football games he'd followed religiously since high school. He began sitting on the back porch at odd hours, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, just sitting, facing the tree line. When Dana asked him what he was doing, he would say, "Just listening." When she asked what he was listening for, he would pause in a way that felt too long and then say, "Nothing, I guess." His co-workers noticed within the first week. a man named Gerald, who had worked alongside Cody for 9 years, told us that Cody came back to work and was perfectly professional, perfectly polite, but completely unreachable. Like talking to someone through glass, Gerald said. He'd answer your question, but he wasn't really there for it. 2 weeks after he came back, Cody did something that no one in his family has been able to explain. He drove to the county records office and requested information on the land parcels backing up to the forest where he disappeared. He spent several hours going through historical maps. He didn't tell Dana about it. She found out 3 weeks later when the librarian at the Hazard branch mentioned seeing him there. When she asked Cody about it, he looked at her for a long moment, not evasively, not guiltily, just looked at her and said, "I was trying to find out whose it was before." "Before what?" she asked. He didn't answer. He went back inside. He sat on the porch until midnight. Now, here is where I need you to pay close attention, because this is the part of the story that most people overlook when they hear it secondhand. This is the part that matters. The land behind Cody's property, the parcels that back up into that old forest, have a history in Perry County that goes back much further than most local residents know. In the early 1930s, during the first hard wave of Appalachian coal decline, there were series of what the county records describe as voluntary disappearances, men who walked into those hills and simply did not come back. Not deaths, not accidents, disappearances. 7 of them over a span of 18 months.
The county attributed them at the time to economic desperation, men leaving their families without warning, too ashamed to say goodbye. But 3 of those 7 men came back, and the records for those 3 men end very abruptly, with no follow-up documentation, no family testimony, nothing. Just a name, a return date, and then a line of blank space where the rest of their stories should be. One of those men, a coal loader named Elias Pruitt, reportedly told his brother, before he stopped speaking about it entirely, that he had found something in those woods that he couldn't describe in any language he knew. Not an animal, not a structure, not a person. Something that had no equivalent word in English. His brother told a local preacher. The preacher wrote it down in a private journal that resurfaced in a church estate sale in 1987. The journal contains 1 sentence attributed to Elias, written in the preacher's hand. He says the woods showed him what was underneath everything, and now he can't stop seeing it. Cody has never read that journal entry. We verified this. He has never, to anyone's knowledge, encountered the history of Elias Pruitt or the other men. But 2 months after he came back from the woods, Cody wrote something in a notebook that Dana found on the kitchen table. He hadn't hidden it, he hadn't locked it away. He'd left it right there in the open, as if it hadn't occurred to him that it would disturb her. She photographed the page and sent it to us before she even told Cody that she'd seen it. There was only 1 line on the page. It read, "The forest is not a place, it is a condition." We consulted with a behavioral neurologist in Louisville who specializes in post-traumatic dissociative states. We shared the account without identifying details. She told us that what Dana described, the behavioral flatness, the altered preferences, the middle-of-the-night vigilance, the strange research behavior, the written introspection that appeared disconnected from the person's previous cognitive style, these are consistent with what she called identity re-anchoring following extreme environmental exposure. This is a documented, if rare, psychological event. It occurs when the human brain is forced through isolation, fear, sleep deprivation, extreme cold, or some combination to restructure its sense of self in order to survive. When the person comes back to normal life, they come back reorganized. And sometimes, she said, the reorganization doesn't fully account for who they were before. Sometimes, she said, the person who comes back has made a trade they don't remember making. 3 days. Cody was in those woods for 3 days. He has never given a full account of those 3 days, not to Dana, not to his family, not to the deputies, not to us. When we asked him directly, and we did ask him directly, in a recorded conversation we will not be releasing out of respect for his privacy, he said something that has stayed with us since. He did not say he couldn't remember. He did not say it was too painful. He looked at us with the specific, unreadable stillness that everyone who knows him now describes, and he said, "I remember all of it. I'm just not sure it's mine to tell." We sat with that for a long time. Because here is what is most disturbing, not as a horror story, not as a mystery, but as a human fact. Cody is not broken. He functions, he works, he pays his bills. He is, by every external measure, fine. Dana has not left. She is still there. She still loves him. But she told us at the very end of our last conversation with her that there are moments, just moments, where she looks at him across the dinner table and feels a distance she cannot measure, a gap between where she is and where he is that seems, on some days, to be getting wider. She said, "I keep waiting for him to come back, and then I remember he already did." There are things in this world that the human mind is not built to encounter. That is not superstition, that is neuroscience. There are environments and there are states, and there are moments of such total disorientation that the brain does what it has to do to keep you breathing, and what it has to do is not always what keeps you whole. Most people never go near those moments. Most people go through their entire lives and never once brush up against the outer edge of what their mind can hold. Cody went into the woods on a Tuesday morning in late October. He checked his stand, walked the trail he'd walked 100 times, and somewhere in those 2 miles between the property line and the ridge, he crossed into something. We don't know what it was. The land doesn't tell you. The trees don't tell you. And Cody, who remembers everything, who says it's not his to tell, he sits on that back porch in the dark hours, facing the tree line, listening to something that no one else in that house can hear. And the thing that we keep coming back to, the thing that we cannot resolve no matter how many times we look at the evidence, is this: the man who came back is calm, he is quiet, he is thoughtful, he is in many ways more peaceful than the man who left. And somehow, that is the most frightening thing of all. Dana told us one last thing right before we ended our last call. She said it quietly, almost like she wasn't sure she should say it out loud. She said that sometimes, at night, when she's lying awake and Cody is asleep beside her, she watches his chest rise and fall in the dark, and she thinks, whatever is in those woods, whatever it was that Cody found, or that Cody found, it sent him back. It could have kept him. It didn't. And she has spent every night since then trying to decide whether that means she should be grateful or afraid. The woods outside Hazard, Kentucky are still there. The deer stand is still there. The logging road is still there. And somewhere in those 2 miles of Appalachian forest between the property line and the ridge, there is something that a man walked into and could not walk back out of changed. We don't know what it is. We're not sure Cody does either. And maybe that's exactly how it wants things to stay.